So many of our greatest lessons in life come from picking ourselves up after adversity. Leonie Percy is a prime example of that. After her marriage ended suddenly, she turned to yoga to help deal with the emotional stress and dealing with life as a single mum. She loved it so much, she became a yoga teacher. And combined with her degree in psychology, she now teaches her parenting philosophy to other mums, all about mindfulness and conscious parenting to help connect with ourselves and with our children. Leonie Percy joins us now on Mother Zen. Leonie, you admit yourself you find motherhood frustrating and a struggle at times. Why do you think it can be so hard?
I think we're just really stuck and lost in our own story. We're very much in our heads and we're very disconnected, we're very distracted, we're very overstimulated. We're really bombarded actually. So I think it's really hard to be present. And as a result of that, we suffer from a lot of guilt from not spending time with our children. Life is a whirlwind in the society that we live in, and I think motherhood has never been as difficult as it has done, and people do really struggle with it.
So you talk about being present. You also talk about that buzzword mindfulness. What exactly is that, and how do we do it?
Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment. So you're literally choosing to be mindful in that moment. So you're able to select what you actually want to pay attention to. We're bombarded with thousands of images every day, and most of what we actually absorb, our brain just disregards 90% of it. We're just so bombarded. So mindfulness is about, I'm choosing this moment now to be mindful. We can do it when we're washing up. We can definitely do it when we're with our children. We can do it at any moment in the day. We just need to remind ourselves to stop the busyness and just breathe and really come out of our head and into our body. So mindfulness is engaging the senses. So you might just listen to the sounds around you and close your eyes. You might light a beautiful candle and inhale the smell and the scent. You might use some hand cream in your bag, and as you rub it in, you've got the sense of touch and really absorb that moment. Drinking a cup of tea is something a mother does every day. Just do it mindfully and really absorb yourself in that moment. Pick a beautiful cup, watch the steam coming from the kettle. Take it in your hand, feel that connection, and then drink it and taste it, really taste it. Chocolate's an awesome way to be mindful, just absorb it, let it melt in your mouth. That's mindfulness. And
we're allowed to have chocolate.
We are allowed to have chocolate, absolutely. Whatever works for you, make that your mindful moment.
So all of those things you describe, watching steam come up off a cup of tea, etc., that all sounds impossible. When you're a mum of young children, they're running around in a whirlwind. How do we be mindful when you've got milk being spilled on the floor and pots being pulled out of the cupboard and so on, and crayon on the walls? Just for example.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's hard, but you can elevate yourself above all of that noise. So mindfulness takes you to another level of conscious awareness where you've got chaos happening all around you, but you're just above all of that. You've elevated yourself. You've opened up your conscious awareness mind. And you're like, this is happening around me, but I'm not going to get lost in this story of what's going on. And it's difficult, especially when you're trying to get out the door and it's late and there's traffic. But you just need to find more moments, and we're talking one moment. We're not talking 10 minutes, we're not talking an hour. We're just finding your one moment where you can center yourself, find some calm, and just feel really grounded. And the more mindful moments you have, the less frustration and guilt you will feel as a mother.
And how does that then impact on the children if we can do that more often?
We need to be present with our children. We start by being present with ourselves, but then we will become present with our children. And I mean, unplug everything, all technology, and just spend 15 minutes with each child doing whatever it is they're doing. Build a sandcastle, push them on a swing, bake cakes. Might be a bit stressful baking, but whatever it is, build, recycling out of, make a spaceship. Whatever it is, just absorb yourself in your child's world and be mindful about it.
And you also say we should teach our children to be more mindful, no matter what age. How do we do that?
You can do some beautiful mindfulness meditations around food. So again, you become very mindful. You might put a date or a raisin is great, and you really notice all the details of that object, the smell, what it feels like, where it's come from. Have a conversation. Kids just think food turns up from mummy going to the supermarket. Well, think about all the people that have picked that date, put it in a package, all the families that have helped get this into your hand. This is opening up children's minds and getting them to be mindful about what they're eating, mindful about the environment that they're living in, them, get them to recycle, talk about nature and the trees. This is all being mindful.
And that's a skill, I guess, that if they learn that young, they're going to carry it through with them for life.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're never too early to become conscious. And in fact, kids already are. Kids are completely born wide awake. They're born with a beginner's Zen-like mind. It's actually through conformity and consumerism. We just shut them down, and then they become anxious because we're stressed, so they absorb our stress. So the kids that I work with are very, very anxious, and it's really sad.
Well, in fact, there's so much more we can learn from our children, really, than what we can teach them.
Absolutely.
Isn't that the case?
Your child is your guru. Really, where everyone thinks we're here to teach our children about the world, but our child can teach us so much about life. They are 100% present. They will remember every single word in a story, even if you haven't read it to them for 3 months. They know that you've missed a page.
Oh, yeah.
They know where your car's parked when you're pulling your hair out, going, what colour was the floor? They go, Mummy, it was yellow. They know these little things. They notice the details. And we're so lost in our own story and our own busyness that we forget this. And our kids teach us so much about the world. They always stop to smell the roses.
So there's confusing messages about whether we should put our own needs first as a mother or the needs of our children first. What's the right order, do you say?
Well, I believe you have to take care of yourself. I mean, Buddha tells you that there's no one more worthy of your love than you. And if you don't love yourself, then how can you give what you don't have to others? So I think you must look after yourself first. And if you are happy and you are calm and you are compassionate and you are mothering with grace that will come from being mindful, then you will have happy, balanced and resilient children. And
as a single mother, someone raising your boy on your own, you must have so much knowledge you can share with other mothers who are doing that as well.
Yeah, I do co-parent. I have my son most of the time, but I do get a break. I'm not 100% doing it on my own. And yes, it's definitely difficult. There are times when I'm having to go into the bathroom and just breathe, close the door, just take that moment. And remember, my son is 4. He's just doing what he needs to do. And it's my own anxiety and stress that I'm going to put on him if I'm not more mindful about the way I'm reacting. I went through a phase of shouting all the time, always getting impatient. And it wasn't his fault. It was my issue. And I had to learn to deal with that. So yoga teaches you so much, forgive, move on, let go. See the person that's hurt you the most as your greatest spiritual teacher and be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. If you wake up every morning and what am I grateful for today? This is magic. This will turn what you have into enough. And set an intention every day. Today I'm going to, take 10 minutes for myself, or I'm going to spend 15 minutes with my son or daughter going to the park. Set an intention and live with that intention. It makes a huge difference in your day-to-day life. What sort of mother do you think we should aspire to be? A mother who is present. A mother who is really there, not all the time. It's impossible to be present all the time, but unplug and play. That's my best piece of advice. Get off your phone and your iPhone and just play. Be a kid. It's awesome. And if you could give us your top tips for making motherhood easier? Create a quiet place in your home that's for quiet time, a place where you can reflect and as a family you can sit and be quiet. Make a Zen garden, something you can do that's really beautiful with children. And don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about having to work and doing all these other things. Tell your child that you love them. And if you forget to tell them that you love them, when they're sleeping, whisper in their ear that you love them. And that actually goes to their higher self, into their consciousness. And that relieves so much guilt of motherhood because they know and they hear you. I asked my son, did you hear Mummy say she loves you last night? He says, yes, Mummy, I always hear you.
Oh, that makes me cry.
It's beautiful, So there's so many little things that we can do. When kids hear sirens, always hear ambulances, they always hear. And now my son says, Mummy, we have to say a prayer because, the ambulance is going to help someone. This is a compassionate meditation. This is a mindfulness meditation that you can do with your child every time you hear an ambulance go by. Kids will notice this and they'll remind you to be present and mindful. So your kids will tell you.
Leonie Percy, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste.